Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's Pride in Sport. Lovely to have you here, and we've got a special guest you may recognize we had on a previous episode before. People are asking why we do Pride in Sport, and it's just to celebrate our athletes' achievements in life and how we celebrate, how we get to our goals, and it's regardless of our identity or sexuality. It's about celebrating the achievements that we can actually reach. So my guest is a two-time Para Games competitor. So he's competed in Athens and Rios in two different sports, so swimming and triathlon, world and European medalist and British championship. David Hill with us. I completely messed that up. I might even do that again.
That's absolutely fine. I've had much worse introductions, I must say. I mean, that was factually correct, at least.
Okay, well, at least that. Okay, well, that's good then. So I'm honestly, I'm really excited to have you back in because last time we had you on, it was an amazing conversation. If anyone that hasn't watched it, it is on YouTube on our Vitality page. Please watch it. It was a brilliant story, and we had such great feedback about your life, I guess, about how you become as popular as you are. And again, people are still saying at the moment, why do we feel the need to do a Pride in Sport? And a really good example is recently in the news. We'll come on to. We're going to touch briefly about Jake Daniels coming out in mainstream football, and it shouldn't be an issue this day and age. But it's such a surprise, and people keep hiding these sort of things. And it's a great inspiration to have. And yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are about having someone so young being so confident, because how old were you when you came out?
I was 19.
19.
Yeah, 19. So I think that's still classed as fairly young, regarding the age that people sort of choose to do it. But yeah, fantastic, news this week. He used Tom Daley's very much an inspiration, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which was really good. And I think you were kind of about to say it there, that it's almost a shame that people feel as though they still need to come out.
Yeah. And then hopefully it will come to the point where we would just see Jake as just a footballer. He's just someone that plays football. And it's not even an issue because it doesn't need to be. And it's not, it's because people are afraid to be themselves, or even think that maybe it might be detrimental to their career, that they think they need to keep themselves. And I think with Jake's story, he decided that he wanted to be himself, be true to himself, which is something I know that you can relate to, because for people that don't realize, it wasn't until you were true to yourself that your career, the way you performed, was so much better. So maybe he's thinking the same way. And he looked at like I said, Josh Cavallo, who the other Australian footballer. And again, he's being true to himself. Yeah, and again, for people that don't know, you suddenly, once you came out to your mum, your performance just excelled, didn't it?
Yeah, yes, exactly right. And I saw a quotation from him just to say this kind of weight was lifted off his shoulder. He could be his true, authentic self. You almost don't have to keep. Not that it's a lie, but you're not being truly honest with those around you, and therefore your life has this ease about it when you're able just to be yourself and actually be accepted by those around you, and actually have those positive interactions and engagements with your family. So it's actually just quite a beautiful story, isn't it? And like I said, it is a shame that people have to come out, but it's almost a movement that needs to happen, because I think we need to get more and more fans on side, particularly in a game like football. I think they need it normalized. So that's almost, for me, the positive of why we see like footballers come out, is because the fans then get normalized by that more and more. And then it just comes to the point where it doesn't matter about the sexual identity, for example, of that footballer on the pitch. You just got to appreciate that they're good at their sport and they're there doing an amazing job, and that's all that really should matter.
Exactly. So like I say, eventually we'll be looking back at this conversation in 10 years' time thinking, how did we even have this conversation? So yeah, so it's a good positive way moving forward. So let's just move forward. It's just because that's good news at the moment. So let's just move forward talk about your career now, because you've gone into coaching and helping other people. So for me, on my journey, I would have looked up to someone like you back when I was like 20 odd years ago, because I had completely different goals. So How did you transition from going from competing in the Olympics or triathlon to going into coaching? What made you decide to go that way?
It was a bit of an accidental transition, I think. You know what? I looked at what my coach went through while he was coaching me, the hours that he put in, all the sacrifices, and he very much was getting his success through his swimmers' success that he was coaching. I guess when they didn't have a good performance, he also didn't get a good performance as a coach. He didn't get that kind of feedback and that internal reward. And I just thought that's such a difficult career. I never want to go through what my coach went through, and here I am, like, you know, head coach of my own swimming club, work in the similar industry to yourself, so do a little bit of personal training, work one-to-one with people in the water as well. And it is really hard because, yeah, you want it for them, but ultimately it's got to be down to them. Like, as a coach, I can really want it equally to them or more, but it's them that's got to do the performance. So it's really hard. Sometimes you feel like you just want to do it for them just to make, like, better the chances of success, maybe. But it's down to them.
So how do you go about when someone comes up to you and says they've got a goal in mind? So we're going to use for me example. So for everyone, people that don't know me, I used to be really fat as a kid. I was bullied for being fat, and I lived such a long time carrying that with me. And I used to look in the mirror and just constantly see this fat kid all the time. So I wanted to do everything. I wanted to lose weight, be healthy, but then I decided, well, I didn't decide. I picked up cigarettes instead. I started drinking as a young adult, and I was just doing everything wrong. And I constantly wanted to be this other person. And it wasn't until, like, say, in my 30s, I decided, you know, I don't want to live this life anymore. I want to achieve something. And it was actually watching the Olympics. It was 2012. There you go. And I just wanted to be a different person. I didn't want to be a smoker, a drinker. I didn't want to be fat. I wanted to achieve things. I wanted to get somewhere, and I just didn't know where to start. And I was doing everything wrong. So if I came to you, or if I was like a younger version of me, so let's go back 20 odd years ago or something, how would you go about discussing goals? Because there's a huge goal I want to achieve. How do I even get there?
I'm so excited to talk about this whole topic today. I really am. And I guess what I will say right at the start of this is, like, everything I'm sharing here has come from, I guess, very much like my experiential learning as a result of being an athlete and trying to figure out my own motivation with regards to goal setting, what's worked and what hasn't worked. And that's basically what I'm sharing today. Like, I'm not an expert with regards to goal setting, but I think it comes up in conversations a lot, particularly when I'm working with some of the organizations I'm working with, and I'm connecting with young people, because I'm really trying to kind of teach them goal setting, I guess, from an early age, and trying to get them to take ownership of that. Because, like I said, otherwise from a coach, you can kind of want it more than them, and then there's just this frustration that is forever there because you're trying to push them in a direction that you think they want to go in, or they've suggested they might, but actually it's just the wrong path, and there's some sort of resistance there. But I really like the language that you sort of used there, and it was very much about creating an identity. You were like, I don't want to be that person that smokes. I don't want to be that person that does X, Y, Z. And that's very much how I think I've looked at my goals for about the last 6 years, so probably including Rio and beyond. So I think if I'd had that mindset on goal setting earlier, I think I would have probably performed better as a swimmer earlier on in my career as well. So focusing on more of who I want to be rather than just what I want to achieve. Because as soon as we figure out kind of, the person we want to be, and create that identity for ourselves, for me, it automatically kind of just lays out in front of us, well, therefore, the kind of things that you will do and the way that you'll behave. Like, automatically, day in, day out, you'll be doing the things that moves you closer towards the person that you want to be and who you want to become, rather than it just being about, what you want and how you want it and when you're going to do it. It just sort of it seems a little bit more organic for me and just flows with our identity, as opposed to being very much like, oh, I've got to do this and then I've got to do that. And I guess it's similar to how I think about walking my dog. you know, I think that kind of language is really important. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I've got to go and walk the dog now." I think you haven't got to go and walk the dog. Like,
Yeah.
I walk my dog every day. You know what I mean? I feel so lucky that I get to take a minimum of 1 hour out my day to access nature, to be outside, you know, regardless of the weather, all seasons, spending that time with my dog, just of nature. You know what I mean? Like, it's a goal of mine to do that every day, but that's who I want to be, and that's what I get to do, and I feel so lucky to do that. I never feel like, oh, now I've got to go and walk the dog today. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Perfect. And that's a perfect example of reframing the mindset, and that is an example that I do actually use. And you kept saying it, I get to do something rather than I should. And I think a lot of people, even I went through this when we're trying to reach a goal. If it's you think that you need to be more active, a lot of people say, oh, I should go to the gym, I should be more active, I should reframe that, say, actually, I get to go to the gym. I hope that I can actually get more active. And it completely turns around our mindset, the way that we think of things. And that's something that really did stick with me. People say to me, why do you go to the gym so much? Because I can. I get to go to the gym. I've got the time to do it. And just, yeah, and it's a case of reframing the mind. And I totally love what you just did there. So it's just trying to think about what your goal is, what you want to achieve, and try and fit it in that you want to do it. And there's no point in chasing a goal or doing something that you don't relate to. And that's another thing that I made the mistake of. I was chasing someone else's dream, someone else's goal for a long time, and couldn't understand why I wasn't getting that passion, why I didn't do it as much as that other person. And yeah, that also didn't help. So do you find that you have to tell a lot of people or try and ask people about what their goal is? Is it true to themselves, or is it someone else's goal that they're chasing after?
yeah, I think I'd try and really like dive into that and almost think, like, why do you want to achieve this goal? Like, what is it going to mean to you? Why is that really important? You know, because if I'm going to be on board, and I guess similar to yourself, if you're going to be on board as a personal trainer, invest in them, you really want to know like that they've got a good reason why, so that if and when, I say when, challenges come up or injuries or whatever it is, that they're going to get back on track quite quickly. You know, nothing's going to knock them because they've got that really strong why. So yeah, I think that's just really important. And I've played around. Well, I was taught a lot of kind of visualization and imagery work when I competed to. That was as a tool to kind of, I guess, gain confidence and also lower nerves. So like the night before I used to compete, very much just sat in my hotel room in the quiet, I would have a stopwatch in my hand, and I would close my eyes and I would visualize my whole swimming race that I'm about to go and do the next day. So if it was 100 meters backstroke, for example, I knew that the next day I wanted, or I needed to, because of the certain qualification time, I might have needed to go swim a 1:04, 1 minute and 4 seconds. So in that hotel room the night before, close my eyes and I draw upon all my senses. You know, I very much try and sort of smell the chlorine. I really feel that tight hat and the goggles and the swimming costume on my skin. Any kind of tastes, any sounds I kind of hear. You know, I can hear maybe the crowd. I hear the referee say, "Take your mark to go," and I start the stopwatch. You know, and almost I get a bit of a, you know, my body starts to move because it knows what to do upon that kind of stimulus. And I imagine myself swimming each and every one of those strokes, you know, all until I kind of see that those flags across the swimming pool, and that marks 5 meters to go, swimming 5 meters, touch the wall, and I'll be in that hotel room and I'll stop the stopwatch. And hopefully, if you kind of visualized that whole race in real time, I did once like look at that stopwatch, and the time that was displayed on that stopwatch is literally the time that I went in the race the following day.
Amazing.
Which is kind
amazing.
Yeah, which was a bit spooky. But how I felt the next day was, it's almost a little bit like deja vu. Like I tricked my mind and my body to think that I'd been there and done that performance before. So therefore, going into that race, which was a new scenario, perhaps a new swimming pool, you know, a setup that I've not ever been in before, I felt more confident. My nerves were lower because I felt as though very much I'd been there and done it before, because I saw it in my mind's eye previously, and so I'd rehearsed all those movements. And an extension on from that as well, and a skill I guess I didn't appreciate at the time, was really then thinking about, well, how does that feel? Like, how does that feel to go that quickly? And do I just want to go that quickly because actually that's the qualification time that I have to go? You know, if you're doing a trial day for a, you know, trying to qualify for World Championships or European Championships, or maybe even a Paralympic Games. So sometimes your goals can be dictated by other people. And I think when you're an athlete, you know, I was very much said like, well, this is a qualification time. You want to compete in this race. This is what you've got to go. So that became my goal. And I guess I had to believe I was going to go that fast. So I guess we can learn to do that sometimes with our goals, that regardless of that situation, if it's set for you, or hopefully it's something that you want to achieve, you can sort of very much perhaps visualize yourself actually achieving that goal, and then you can maybe sort of really go into yourself and check and challenge, like, how does that feel?
Right.
Like, you know, imagine celebrating, like you've done it, you've reached that goal, and then sort of come out of that and think, you know, are we on the right pathway then here?
Yeah.
You know, is that really want to go to? Is that really where you want to go to? Was that celebration worth it? Was there anything missing? Like, are we going far enough? Or
I mean, that's something I've never actually used visualizations before, but now that you've said that, I'm going to give it a go about how I feel when I was at the start line when I'm doing a race, or park run for a good example. Always get the park run nerves, and it's just like, am I going to be able to get the time that I want? It's constant. So I'm going to use visualization. I'm going to try it. See, every day's a school day. We're always learning. So even though I've got to the goal I wanted to be, like I wanted to lose all that weight and that, I'm still striving for goals, because our lives change all the time. So I'm constantly craving something to aim for. And that's just a natural. I never used to be into sports whatsoever, so it's quite a new thing for me. So I'm going to touch on something that a lot of people do struggle with, and a lot of clients that I have worked with before. It's motivation. Sometimes, like say, we've got a goal in mind, and for a good example, New Year's Day is a good example. So when we've got a goal in mind, we know what we want, and we're going to go all out to get it, and we do everything that we can to try and reach that goal, and then we hit burnout. We've done too much. Then we kind of ruin it for ourselves. We think, oh no, I can't do this, and we've gone that constant cycle about, oh, I can't reach my goal. How do I get myself motivated? So one, I guess, going into the importance of rest and recovery, but keeping that motivation. I know you touched on it just now about if we're injured, whatever. How do we keep that motivation going? Is there anything that you've done in the past, or anything that you coach about keeping that drive going and keeping your mind focused about what the goal that you want to achieve?
Yeah. Should we go right back to the start here? So I've got with me, because I literally share them. I probably shared them on the last talk, because I literally pick them up every talk I ever do, because I think it's so important to talk about it. So these are my swimming badges that I won from a really young age. So this one here, my bright red shiny 5 meter badge, I always show it off, particularly if I'm visiting like primary schools as well, because I think they can really, really relate to this. And then what I very much talk about, I think it's so relatable at all levels, is, you know, I didn't appreciate that. Actually, I taught myself goal setting from a young age, because when I achieved that, I automatically set the intention of then getting my 10 meter badge. And when I won my 10 meter badge, there was kind of an increase of motivation. I felt more confident. And so I set myself another goal, and I set myself the goal of a 25 meter badge. And sort of the same chemical process, I guess, happened in my mind. Like, I achieved that goal. I was like, I've reached the next stepping stone. More motivation came, more confidence came, and then it was like, right, on to the 50. And that was very much my thought pattern from, you know, being a 3-year-old kid achieving my 5 meter badge. You know, I don't think anyone else was really using this language necessarily around me, but what I certainly didn't do as a 3-year-old was get my 5-meter badge and then go, oh, right, I really want to get my 1,000-meter badge. Like,
Yeah.
I was only ever interested in the next little bit. And I think maybe as we get older, we then try and maybe miss the middle bits out a little bit too much, and we think, oh, we want to lose weight or something, or we want to shift 5 kilos, and it's just like, well, I'm not surprised you're not motivated to do that, because that's like far too down the line, and it's also a really difficult thing for athletes to do, to be on their best game every 4 years. It's just like after a major championship, you think, well, I can have a week off. I can probably have 2 weeks off, because the next Olympics is 4 years' time. You know what I mean? So because there's such a gap, you just think, oh, it doesn't matter today, because you've got that time, and it can be very difficult to therefore then keep that motivation going. Whereas if you've got that goal that's either the next day or the next week or that month, it's a little bit more tangible. I think it's much more easier to motivate ourselves. So I'm always a big fan of just breaking things down into tiny goals. Yeah. So we set a goal, and then you set another goal under that, and then break that down into maybe another 5. All the way down to the fact that now every day, either the night before or the morning of every single day, I'll set myself 5 goals of something I want to achieve that day. So as I said, it might be me lying in bed thinking, what 5 things do I want to achieve the following day? Or it might well be that morning that I then set the intention and think, right, well, what's the 5 things I'm going to achieve today? And there'll be a variety of, themes or topics to those things. It could be work related. It could be sport. It could be my health. It could be linked to family, my career. But maybe it might be healthy for someone to think about setting one goal in each of those areas, for example. But I absolutely then start to prioritize those goals as well, and think, well, while I'm at my freshest and my most alert, let's get the most important tasks done first and out of the way, and then maybe think about some fun towards the end of the day or something, or a little reward to then celebrate. So I always say, if you're struggling with motivation, try and think about something you can achieve today, because then you can celebrate that, and then that will give you a little bit of a pickup, just like it did when I was handed my 5-meter badge. I felt awesome about myself, and then I wanted to go and do the next day. So you achieve 5 things today, or 1 small thing today, another 5 the following day, another 5, another 5. You're going to feel great about yourself by the end of the week, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think this is where we concentrate too much on the ultimate, the big goal, what we're going to be. So it's breaking down the process goals. So it's how we get to that. If we are trying to demolish a big iceberg, we need to chip away at it, and we need to celebrate and look into these small things. I know clients in the past have said when they're trying to lose weight, oh, I've only lost 2 pounds this week. No, first of all, change your mindset. There's no you only lost. No, you have lost 2 pounds. That's 2 pounds towards, that's a process goal towards this big goal. And so it's the right direction. You're moving, you are getting to your goal. And I guess it's trying to reiterate this back to people that focusing too much on the big goal or not getting there quick enough, because we all want to get there quick. And that's the other thing that happens on New Year's resolutions. We've got a goal in mind, we've picked it, we want to achieve it, we don't get there quick enough, we think we failed. And this sort of gone this constant cycle. And again, your badges, perfect example. So you got your first badge, and then you think, right, you didn't obviously think I'm going to go and compete the Olympics. You went to the next badge. And the same with anyone starting to want to go running. You don't go for a quick run around the block and think, right, I'm going to book a marathon and I'm going to do a marathon. You could do, but don't expect to get there and do it within the following week. So you actually have to build up to 1 kilometer run, and then if you've never run before, see if you can run like 2 kilometers. And you build up, and you have to, like I say, celebrate the small things. And I think this is key. We don't celebrate our wins enough. We're so critical on ourselves, and I think one of the main things that I've learned in my journey is to be patient, to like say, you wrote down 5 things a day. At the end of the day, write down, what did you achieve that day? And look back, the constant reflection about looking back about what you have done, rather than what you want to do and you haven't quite got there yet. Or I think this is a key thing when it comes to motivation, as the process goals, reflection, looking into, like say, celebrating our little wins that we've got, and keep yourself going forward.
Yeah, don't they say like how do you eat an elephant or something like that, isn't it? You know, it's just like, you know, you wouldn't try and tackle it all in one go, don't you? Just
yeah, exactly. And another thing as well is when it comes to goal settings at that, when we look into other people's goals, that when we I'm going to go into like the imposter syndrome type thing. Do you ever come across, like, did you ever feel that you had imposter syndrome, or did you come across any clients that think that they've got to where they want to be in their goal, but it's not how they thought they'd feel, or they don't feel like, yes, they've got there, but should I be here? Have you ever gone through that?
Yeah, I go through it all the time. I think I've got it right now.
Okay.
With what I'm sharing, because like I said, it's very much, you know, this is how I choose to live my life. This is what I've discovered sort of works for me, and this is what I very much discovered what I guess I need, because I've also drawn myself out of a very deep depressive, anxious state as well. So, you know, just before Rio, I competed in Rio in 2016. That summer of 2015 was a really, really difficult time, and I was really crumbling under the pressure of knowing whether I could qualify for Rio, and that was, you know, that was a really, really big deal for me. And I've shared in other talks before about the fact that I hospitalized myself for 6 weeks due to my mental health, leading up to those games. Like it nearly broke me. And so I've done a lot of work on myself, and just, you know, having to therefore think about my own well-being since then, really, to then be able to go through and compete in Rio, and to be able to transition after Rio and sort of find this new identity as not being an athlete, and go on to then continue setting goals as Dave, not just Dave the athlete. And I guess that's something else that's also really important, is thinking about goals in lots of areas of our life, because I can absolutely be guilty. And I guess one of the reasons why that I had depression as bad as I did was the fact that I almost neglected parts of me. I set goals as Dave the athlete, but I didn't look after Dave the person. And as a coach now, I'm always saying to my athletes that a happy athlete is a fast athlete, but it's about the person first. You can't just look after the athlete. So I think that's really important, to make sure that you have time maybe away from your goal as well. We can be all consuming sometimes, and there can be too much of a good thing, and we can put more than 100% into something. When I hear people saying, "Oh, I put 110% into that," I'm like, "Well, you're trying too hard then."
Okay.
Ease off. Let's have a bit of relaxation time or something like that. You know, we can try too hard. You can literally burn out, can't you?
Yeah, and I think that's a key point on trying to explain to people that actually you shouldn't feel guilty for having rest days, or if you're not feeling up for it, then that's fine too. I think you are right, we overlook our mental health, because for me, mental health, it's the core person of who I am. It makes me who I am. And yes, I've suffered with depression and anxiety in the past as well. And I remember just feeling during the goal process, me trying to lose weight, when I did have lapses of depression, it was so hard trying to make myself do exercise, try and make myself got to eat healthy, whatever. But the mistake I made was beating myself about it. I think now that when I do have these relapses, I accept. I was like, okay, I'm not going to feel like I want to go to the gym. I'm not going to feel like I want to go for a run, and I'm not feel like I'm going to eat healthy. So let's embrace this, and let's have this as a time where I can rest my body. I can just enjoy the foods. And yes, I'm going to relive like get the old movies up that I loved as a kid and just embrace it and have rest so that I know that once my body and once my mind is ready to get back into being active, to reaching my goals, I'm raring to go again. And that I don't feel bad about having that rest. And I think this is also key as well for people that aren't, like I said, are giving 110%, aren't reaching their goal quick enough or not seeing the results they want. You need to have these rest days and you need to reflect about what you've achieved so far. And you can't pour from an empty cup. So you need to be able to recharge that or fill a cup up again, recharge your batteries. And I think that's a key thing as well. So looking after our mental health. And I just want to point out as well, I know that we always hear that if we are quite active, we always hear information from like the GP, whatever, that in order to prevent depression or anxiety kicking in, you need to become more active. But what happens if you are active already and you do have these relapses? Because we don't really talk about that either. So did you ever go through, I know I did you have relapses of feeling low? How did you come about staying focused on your goal if you were having a relapse?
Something that just came to mind as you were talking there, Andrew, was this sort of kindness that needs to ooze to ourselves. You know, particularly as athletes, I think anyone that's determined to achieve their goal, it's very much, you know, gritting teeth and trying and perseverance, but that needs to be so delicately blended with this kindness towards ourselves of, I said, like tuning into our body. And if one day it's just not working, actually the best thing for you is just to stay at home and eat your favorite foods, watch your favorite movies, then do it. Like, listen to your body. But we know that needs to be balanced with a point where you just go, actually, you know what, you know, do I need my team just to give me a little shake now and let's get back into it, sort of thing. And it's that team that's really important, isn't it? So like, when I do have those days that I'm a little bit more wobbly, I know that all my goals that I have, I'm not doing them alone. I have people around me that are, you know, my chosen support team almost in my life or my goal, that I can kind of draw upon for that little bit of reassurance or whatever it is that I'm needing at that time. And I've always been taught that there's about that kind of we call it the helping hand. So we've got 5 key people around us. And it sounds really, really cheesy, but when those 5 people come together, like, that's your rock. It's really strong, really, really powerful. And you're kind of unbreakable. You can achieve what you want. And I don't know whether you can maybe think about sort of 5 people that you spend maybe the most time with, because I think that's also really important. You know, thinking about our kind of chosen environment and who we choose to surround ourselves with. And when I look back and I made that move to boarding school when I was 12 years old, I did that because I wanted to put myself in a world-class environment. You know, I went to, and I was very, very fortunate to get a scholarship to a school that was renowned and had a great history for bringing on swimmers and balancing your swimming career also with your education as well. So at that boarding school, I was able to, you know, have all my lessons on site, you know, work towards my GCSE and A levels, while receiving world-class coaching, physiotherapy on site, a nice gym, you know, dining hall, all my meals. It was all there in one little village, I guess. And people were there with this similar goal and similar mindset. So I've always thought that, you know, if you surround yourself by champions, you'll become a champion. And I think that's why I've always been very wary to now also protect my mental health as well, with who I choose to spend, you know, the majority of my time with. And I think those 5 people that we spend the most time with ultimately becomes a reflection then of who we are. You know, we become an average of those people. And I guess when we were talking right at the start about that language that we choose to adopt around, you know, we get to do this rather than we have to. And I think I'm always very cautious when I pick up on that. I'm like, oh, I think it's really important to find our people in life, isn't it? Find our tribe. And when we find them, we feel alive. You know, it's such, it's that energy, isn't it? That you can just then bounce off, be yourself, be energized by those people, and move even closer towards your goal, or your goal together as a group. Can you relate to that?
Yeah, definitely. And it was a relatability. Very quick, I'm going to go back to when you know you're, like, say, you pick to the point of when you need to be with those people, but if you aren't around those people and you have those rest days, you have to be realistic. You say, right, the next day, right, let's get back on it. You have to be quite strict on it. But if you haven't got those 5 people, but yes, you're right. If you have got those 5 people, then it's a great support. It's about finding it. And I didn't have these 5 people to start off with, or a few people. I literally had to start. I knew I wanted to go. I had to start. I had to get new friends, because there was no one that I knew. They were all quite big drinkers, smokers, whatever. So it was a case of me having to completely break the habits that I had, and to the point where I had to break things down even more. So for smoking, for example, the association smoking was a cup of tea and alcohol. So I decided when I gave up smoking, I had to give up the associations with it. It was the tea, the alcohol, the friends. And it was really difficult, because I had to try and separate, because I knew what I wanted, I was focused, and it was changing my life completely. So once I eliminated the tea, the alcohol, and didn't see the friends as much, it sounds harsh, but they understood what I was doing. So they kind of, and when I did go out with them, they didn't smoke around me and said that. But it led me, their support and the process of elimination of associations helped me get to the goal where I wanted to be. So yeah, if it is a drastic goal, think about who your 5 people are. Like you said, think about who is around you. Are they help or hindrance? You don't have to be cutthroat. You don't have to say, right, you're not my friend anymore, I can't hang around you. Just try and surround yourself with the right people, or the environment, primary environment, about what you want to do. If it is become more active, whatever, or join a gym, then make yourself be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Join a gym if you haven't joined one. Try some classes, and just be aware that it's going to seem alien. It's going to seem odd to you to start off with. But after a while, if you enjoy it, if that's something you enjoy, it becomes the comfort zone. So yeah, so many things, so much information there in such little time that we can talk about. But so let's move on quickly.
I love that. I'm going to write that down actually. Just say, try and make the uncomfortable comfortable.
Yeah,
because in that comfort zone.
Yeah, because if you expect it, then you know you're going into class thinking this is something. I'm sure if I went to a Zumba class, I'd be like, this is something new to me. I am not, and I won't know until I've tried it. I'll probably end up loving it. But it's that expecting to feel uncomfortable and embracing that. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this. It's not going to feel as good. And then what you can do, if you're trying to find something that's new to you, reflect back, write down how you felt going into the class, and then write how you felt going out. And if it's a case of trying to find what you enjoy, if you don't, people automatically think when it comes to exercise, it's running, high intensity stuff, and they don't want to do it. So it's about finding something that you enjoy. So yeah, if there's loads of things out there that you've never tried, try them, but make sure you write how you feel before and after. And this will help you find out, actually, there's something that you really enjoy. And it's about movement, isn't it? Exercise is basically movement. And if you are a person that gets put off by the word exercise, and use the word activity. My activity, my movement is, and it can be walking, it can be Zumba, it can be yoga or something like that. But it's finding what you love and going with it. And that's how you stick to your goal and not someone else's goal. I think that would be a key thing that I would tell people.
Yeah, another tool I kind of use as well, that again, it was something I learned really early on in my athletic career, because it was all about balance and fitting everything in that I wanted to do. You know, like I said, when I was doing my GCSEs and I was swimming, and I had to make sure I had enough time to eat and sleep, and it sounds silly, but literally I timetabled that all in, and I had to kind of like check that I literally had time to swim 4 hours a day, do an hour's gym, an hour stretching, an hour physio, 2 hours worth of food prep. Like I had to kind of go, right, and have I still got time to fit in 8 hours sleep, sort of thing? Sounds bizarre, but I literally timetabled my life. And because I'm so in that routine, and it's just a habit of mine, I still do that today. And I give myself that kind of accountability, I guess, to be like, well, I want to achieve this. This is the person I want to be, and I want to do this. And I kind of think to myself now, is it realistic? Like, am I fitting in everything I want to do in a day? You know what I mean? And I'm still wanting to take a minimum of an hour out of my day to walk my dog. That's in my timetable as well. There's all these other things about spending an hour a day listening to either a podcast or reading a book, spending an hour in the gym or going swimming. You know what I mean? By the time I've done anything I want to do in my life, there's no time to even go to work.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think timetabling your goal is really important. And it might even surprise a lot of people. You might even timetable what you do in your day, and then you might even discover that you've got sort of 3-4 hours of the day, or it might even be half an hour, who knows, but you'll probably discover that you've got a bit of the time in the day that isn't kind of accounted for, that at the moment it probably just goes towards chatting with a friend on the phone, or scrolling through social media, or watching television. And you just think, what else could I be putting that time towards? Like, if I was really strict with myself, like moving towards the person that I want to be or what I want to achieve, is that the best use of my time? Like, is that moving me closer towards my goal? Am I doing everything I possibly can do? Because I'm sure you've worked with clients like this before. So I'm doing everything I possibly can. I'm eating all the right stuff. It's like, well, if I was to look at your food diary and set up a camera in your home, are you really doing everything? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of accountability here, isn't there?
Yeah, and planning is key, because then that's when you can think, there's an hour there. I get to go to the gym. I get to go for a walk. I get to do this. So planning is key, and it sounds bizarre. I still do planning. I've got a journal here. It's great, and I just love the whole tick boxing about what I've achieved that day. If I haven't achieved it, that's fine. Then I'll follow it over the next day. But it's accountability. It's about celebrating little things, and yeah, planning is key. And yeah, if it's a case of getting a diary, writing things down, then do it. If it works for you, then do it, or you can use an app or something like that. But yeah, accountability is fantastic, and I'm still a big planner now. I still do it every single day, and it's funny that you still do it too. So it must be something that's ingrained, but it becomes natural now. It becomes a natural process going forward. But
fact,
David,
I just going to say, I'm almost going to make a bit of a confession. I love ticking things off, and that's another reason why. And I didn't expand upon when I talked about those 5 things that I write down that I want to achieve today. The best thing about that is that at the end of the day, I get to tick those things off or cross them off, because I've achieved them. And I think we all love ticking things off our job list. But I must admit, sometimes, and I need you to be on board and confess maybe with me here, have you ever done something that wasn't on your to-do list? So you'll write it on, and then just cross it off immediately?
Yes. More times than I would hope to admit to, but yes.
Because it feels good, and that's what we want. If we feel good and we learn to celebrate the things that we achieve, it makes it a habit. Like, and that's all it is. Like, we want to be able to celebrate and enjoy doing things. So find a way of celebrating, whether it's just a tick or a cross. It does it for me, but you might have to find something a little bit more creative.
Okay, but I did it yesterday then. So I stripped off the floor, got the Hoover out. I thought, well, I'll Hoover whole downstairs, and then I put on a list Hoover, so I ticked it straight away. So yeah, it is a case. Maybe I'm glad I'm not the only one, but yeah, now that we're bidding things, so thanks for that. But yeah, it's good to like say list things down, but we make a joke a bit, but it really works. So yeah, hopefully it'll work for anyone out there with a goal. Hopefully any information we've given today will help you, because I've been through it, you've been through it, and it's, even if you pick up just one thing that we've talked about and put that into your everyday life, hopefully it will help you achieve anything you have in mind. It doesn't always have to be a fitness goal either. It could be anything in life that you can actually put this into practice. It'd be saving money or just anything really. You can actually put this into life. But David, how do people get look you up on social media or get in contact with you? Have you got like a website or something like that?
There is, yeah, David Hill _GB across most platforms, or yeah, davidhillgb.com. Yeah, so anything you need a little bit of, I guess, clarity on today, or you want to follow up a little bit further, or ask some questions, or just send a nice message, you can send me other messages if you like. Then yeah, feel free to just get in touch, drop me a line.
Brilliant. And you go to schools as well, don't you? You do your coaching thing. You go around to different people, and because you're not only a personal trainer, but you do coach, and exactly like the conversations we have today to younger generations or anyone really. Yeah,
I feel really privileged that I can visit primary schools and I guess influence some of their behaviours and their choices, and also their mindset as well. And just reflect upon my journey as an athlete and just give them some of my key learnings really. So yeah, June is very busy for that coming up. So I've got 12 primary schools booked in throughout June. So doing a bit of a road show around sort of Devon, Cornwall, Dorset, Somerset, Wiltshire, Gloucester. It's yeah, many miles. But like I said, I feel really privileged to be able to do that. Around these similar messages, really get young people adopting a healthy and active lifestyle, setting goals, feeling really good about themselves, and discovering some of their passions.
Brilliant. Well, I love what you've done, David, and I love talking to you. So thank you once again for joining us. And for anyone that's out there that wants to know any more about, like say, or even look up our previous conversation that we had with David, then go to our YouTube channel at Vitality and have a look at the video. David, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I could talk to you for hours, and I'm hoping, like I say, someone out there may have taken one of our little nuggets of advice away with them and help them in the right way. But thank you so much for your time, and wishing you all the best for the future. All right, thank you, David.
Brilliant, thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.